A young person between the ages of 10 to 24 is more likely to die from suicide than heart disease, cancer, HIV and AIDS, birth defects combined. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for that age, 10 to 24.
What's going on, guys? This Range, and I'm here on location. Past few posts, I've noticed that there's been a lot of back and forth on my page, right? But the one thing that really started getting to me was the conversation that was happening. When I say conversation, I'm talking to the adults in the room when basically, I put up a post and all this negative comments are hitting. My big issue is it's not really from the kids. Kids are kids, all right? Kids are gonna do what kids are gonna do. But the adults, the coaches, the parents, those are who I'm talking to today. Now, this bothered me so much that I actually called up a very good friend of mine and I said, hey coach, I need to talk to you about something. You mind doing the podcast with me? He's like, sure, come on in. I wanna introduce you guys to Coach Pastor J.R. Gamble. Sorry, man, he's a coach and he's a pastor. So this brother here, does a lot. Coach Gamble here has written 2 books for student athletes. Prayers for Athletes and the other one, 10 Commandments for Success. So obviously he knows a lot about the subject we're about to discuss. Welcome to the Cage.
Hey, shout out Rangemanfilms, man. Shout out to Rangemanfilms.
Welcome back. My guest today is Coach J.R. Gamble. Coach Gamble has been coaching. How long have you been coaching now, Coach?
22 years.
22 years. And of those 22 years, I probably knew you, about 15 of those?
Yes.
Roughly? Yeah. Coach Gamble coached my daughter way back in the days. Great coach. Great coach. I have lots of respect for this man here. So basically our topic is, what I've noticed is a trend on my page where I'll put up posts of kids and coaches, parents, they start to comment about, this kid is 17 in the 8th grade, or this kid is a 3-time holdback, or this kid, has a mortgage. It's just all the negative feedback that I'm getting on my page, and it got me thinking, right? It's like, whatever happened to the days where coaches were mentors and parents strive to be role models for their kids? Now, Coach, my biggest question is, right, what happened?
What happened with, in terms of that transition?
Yes, let's say coach. Let's talk about coaches, right? Being a coach, and I've watched you forever. You've coached my kids, you've coached lots of kids. And the one thing I've always noticed about you is that if a kid does well, it doesn't matter who he plays for or what it is, you've always given him, that compliment, right? No matter what. Why nowadays coaches, they no longer do that?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with society as a whole. If you look, we've become a very self-centered society. Started back in MySpace. Those of y'all that remember MySpace, where if we didn't have a personal agenda and we were disinterested, or we tried to find something wrong with it. And it's these kind of hidden truths that I believe are there when we don't get something out of something. So we kind of have a tendency to look down on something, if you will. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama, Roll Tide. And that was a community. Like, we knew each other on the street. Our neighbors knew each other. We played outside. Parents could discipline somebody else's kids and go home and take them home and say, hey, this your kid was doing this and blah, blah, blah. But that was in, oh man, that was a while ago. 1990s, man.
Oh man, I think it stopped late 80s. Actually, to be honest with you.
Well, and see what happens is now this if it's not my kid, I'm not sure I'm really invested, you know. And I've always been of the persuasion that all kids matter and all people matter, but not everybody has that view. But that's what I'm saying. Like we start to feel some type of way because we're not getting something out of it. As coaches, our job, we don't know how long we're gonna have a kid, you know, a student with us. Yeah. But our job is to love them, mentor them, and sow a seed in their hearts that later on they can, it will produce some kind of fruit, and they can glean from that fruit and have some kind of success. And I think we lose that vision. I think that's one of the things that's happening in this highly competitive world of AAU and travel leagues. Everybody wants to win, so they kind of using the kid as a means to an end, as opposed to looking at the person as a human being first of all. There's so many of us that are so addicted to winning, we would do anything to win. Yeah. And winning cannot be the number one thing on the agenda. Like I tell my kids, when we get on the court, okay, we're trying to win, right? But that's not the only reason why we're together. I'm hoping that you become a great father, a great husband. You know, when I was coaching girls, it was the same thing, mothers and wives. Somewhere along the line, you can become great.
Yeah, because I mean, the end goal in any community, but especially in our community, should be trying to get these kids off to college.
Absolutely.
Trying to them to become great functioning adults.
Absolutely.
In society, because you and I both know it's really hard, especially for inner city kids.
Absolutely.
And if they don't have that foundation, right, and that support, they end up on the street, in jail,
sure,
worse, dead. My thing is, you know, as a coach, if you're spewing negativity, especially out in public about a kid, and it doesn't matter who the kid is, as long as the kid is trying to do something good. Sure. I mean, I'd rather him in the gym putting up shots than in the streets robbing people. But if the kid is trying to do something, as a coach, I feel like you should push nothing but positivity toward the kid. Because what happens is, a lot of time what I'm seeing is when coaches say something negative, then the kids start saying something negative.
Sure. I mean, here's the thing. If you don't have anything positive to say, you have another choice. Don't say anything. So if you feel some type of way, my suggestion would be just don't say a word. Unless you're talking directly to that family and to that student and just say, hey, this is how I feel or whatever, but I still wish you well.
And I want my audience to understand, this conversation isn't strictly for coaches who lose kids. This is like just coaches in general who speak ill of other athletes that are trying to do something. And you know, the other conversation that comes up a lot too, right? And that's across the board when it comes to travel basketball, is holdback. Kid is 3 years holdback, or kid is reclassed. You know, that's always like the main thing that you see. Oh, the kid is 17 playing 15. Obviously they're exaggerating, but that's the kind of stuff that they say out there, right? The one thing I've learned over the course of the years is that if you have a child or you have a student or a player who you feel in your heart is not ready for high school or is not ready for the next level, whether it be they're too small, their maturity level is not there. Now, do you feel like it's in the best interest of that child for the parents to hold them back so they can mature? And sometimes, you know, it has nothing to do with basketball. See, a lot of people think because the kid is held back, it's because of basketball. It has nothing to do with sports. Like I said, it could be because of those what we just spoke about. Now, what are your feelings towards that?
Well, in some cases, there are some people manipulating the system to gain an advantage, and I think that's where the distrust comes in. There's probably more people taking advantage of that than who are doing it the right way for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. Like I know parents who know their child and say they're not ready, you know, for high school and the maturity that comes with it, like the responsibilities that come with being in high school. So I'm gonna keep them back for a year. And so, of course, you know your child and you know what you need to do for your child. And nobody else really knows that. And so this is me. Mm-hmm. If you really don't know the truth of what's going on, I don't think you need to have many words to say about what's going on with somebody else's child. You're gonna always have people out here that don't have the right heart toward situations. But when you really don't know, and then you start saying stuff toward kids, let me just throw this out real quick. A young person between the ages of 10 to 24 is more likely to die from suicide than heart disease, cancer, HIV and AIDS, birth defects combined. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for that age, 10 to 24. And that's because emotionally, they just can't adapt to this real life when they're going through real struggles. And so the adults adding unnecessary pressures on them, I just think that that's silly in terms of the negativity. Again, if you don't have something positive to say, unless you're talking to them about finding a way to help them, you probably shouldn't say anything at all, personally. But like I said, I've known people that stayed back because they wanted an advantage. They wanted to be in a different class come their senior year. And I know people that stayed back because maturity-wise, academically, they needed another year, before they pushed them on to the next grade. So, but it's not for me to judge that. And it's not for anybody else to judge that. It's allowing people to do what they got to do with their child. And just celebrating the fact that the child has some kind of chance to be successful in life. And maybe we can sow a seed in that heart where they can turn around and do the same thing later on for another young person in their future, 20, 30 years from now. So, we just got to be really careful with our motives. Like, what's my motive in talking negatively about a young person? Kids are kids. Sometimes they have bad attitudes out there. They're not playing the right way. Sometimes they're dirty or whatever. But there's a difference between a child and an adult. Or it should be a clear difference, between how we handle it and how the kid handles it. Coach is at South Carolina now. His name doesn't come to my mind. They did an interview with him a couple years ago in the NCAA tournament. And he said the adults has to stop looking at these children saying, oh, they're different, they're this, they're that, and all these negative things. But he said, how do they get that way? Where do they learn this behavior? Because they don't come out here with this attitude. They learn this along the way from who? A lot of times it's us. These people in the stands yelling, cursing at the coach, waiting after the game, saying negative things about the other kids on other teams. Parents who want so much for their kids to succeed, so they go too far doing too much, and those kids pick up those habits. And then we turn around and say, man, we would never got away with that stuff, man. We could never do that stuff.
Yeah, we are quick to say that, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's amazing. Now, my platform, everybody know my platform, I use it to try to help kids get to college.
True.
Right? So we do send game films out for kids who ask us to. We do everything in our power to try to help kids get that scholarship, go to the next level. So we post any and every kid. We try to do the best we can. When I post an athlete on my page to celebrate him, and then I get all this negative feedback, usually I don't say nothing. I usually don't comment. Sure. Half the time I don't read the comments. Sure. But the past couple of days I have been reading the comments for the simple fact that it's not about the kids, because I know kids are going to be kids, but some of the things that the kids are saying, I do know they're not getting that from themselves. They're not saying that because, oh, they just came up with it. No, they're saying that because they've heard somebody say it. Because the one thing I know about kids is that whatever parents say in front of them, right?
Repeat it.
Oh yeah, and then plus you can always tell the action of a child based on what the parent says. Because kids, like you take a bunch of kids, a group of kids, you put them in a room together, they get along fine, right? You send them home, right? Let the parents talk, and then put those same kids back in the room again. Then you see their attitude change toward each other, and that's how you know when parents talk about other kids, because your child attitude changes toward whoever child you're talking about. Man, you didn't know that. That's a hint for you parents, okay? Because I see that all the time, right? A kid is very friendly with this kid, right? After a tournament, next practice, they're treating that kid differently.
Yeah. When I grew up, we couldn't be a part of adult conversations. You would sit out in the room, they would say stuff like, go somewhere with grown folk talking. But now it seems like a lot of people are very comfortable just talking in front of their kids, saying things in front of the kid, and then I guess imagining that the kid's going to maintain this positive outlook towards the person you're talking about. That's just not going to happen. So I don't know, my suggestion for anybody would be, you know, as the adult, you're going to feel some type of way or whatever, you're going to have feelings or whatever. How you handle them makes a difference in how your child responds to that person now. I mean, I'm a coach. I feel some type of way sometimes, but I don't say things to other kids about other kids. You know what I mean? Unless I'm using them to help me help the kid. Now, we're not trying to down him to another person. And so now how can that kid maintain a positive outlook towards that individual? And I don't want to be the cause of you thinking negatively about somebody else. If that's your experience with them, that's your experience with them. You need to have that experience. I should not cause you to feel some type of way towards that person. But it's amazing that as adults, we've forgotten to let the child stay a child and enjoy themselves while we over here as adults. Like, my sister got in trouble in school one year, and she felt like, we were in middle school, she felt like she hadn't done anything. But my mom taught us to be respectful the whole time. Don't ever come out your mouth saying, I don't care if you feel like you're right or wrong, you let me come defend you. Yep. Which is a totally different day now. Kids will cuss people out when they feel like they're right or wrong, and hey, it is what it is.
And they're getting that from somewhere.
From somewhere. So my sister sat there and she waited. My mom shows up, she goes in the meeting with the principal. She comes out and they go get in the cars, no problem. She was not in trouble anymore or anything like that. So my sister was like, well, what happened? She said, don't worry about it, you're not in trouble anymore. But I know my mama went in there with that principal and gave him an earful, you understand me? But the adults had a conversation. The child was not in there to hear my mom go off on the principal, where my sister would lose respect for the principal and walk around the school like, yeah, my mama, oh, like, no, that's not how that's supposed to be. My sister's supposed to walk around that campus with respect for all the adults on that campus. Now, did my mom have to work through some things with the principal? Sure. But she did that in a way where my sister didn't lose respect for the teacher and or the principal, right? And was able to deal with whatever that needed to be dealt with.
Oh man, that's funny, because I just had a conversation with a really close friend of mine the other day about kind of the same situation, where he was saying, you shouldn't really be talking bad about the coaches in front of your kid, for the simple fact that now the kid is not going to respect the coach.
Sure.
So he's not going to really want to play for the coach because he doesn't respect the coach anymore, because you know what? The parent is sitting there bad-mouthing the coach.
Absolutely.
Your child. At the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your child. But at the same time, remember, we have to be respectful to one another. And we especially have to be respectful to these young men and women out there, especially the ones who are trying their hardest to do something positive. When you throwing all that negative their way, would you rather this kid in the gym 5 days a week, putting up shots, doing whatever he can, or would you rather him stealing your car or robbing you on the street? Because at the rate you guys going, you keep sending all this negativity toward these kids. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to take all that in, and then they're going to dish it out to somebody else. And they're going to carry around that negativity inside them, because no matter what, who's doing what, it's always going to be, oh, that's the reason why they're doing this. Oh, there's a reason why they're doing that. It's never, oh man, you know what? I'm going to get in the gym, or I'm going to, hit the books. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be as good, if not better than you.
I mean, my hope is that we can learn how to become a village and just really support any and every kid, no matter the nationality, their background. People don't know, man, that kids are struggling out here. I've been in education now for 25, 30 years. It's really all I've really done. And kids are struggling, man. They deal with parental divorce. It's sad but true, in certain communities that's a normality, but they are dealing with the loss of parents or siblings, and we have no idea the psychological positioning that these kids are in. So when you say something like that, that's why it's called cyberbullying now. When you post something like that, you don't know how somebody's going to take it. That's why I always say, if you don't have anything positive to say, just choose not to say anything at all. But the adults should be careful to make sure we are the example for the kids to follow. We want to see all of them do well, and no matter what sport it is, academically, socially, athletically, we want to see them all make it. Now, make it doesn't mean you become an NBA player, an NFL player, but we want to see them make it. Make it means maybe get them a college degree or start their own business, be able to stand on their own 2 feet out of their parents' homes, be a husband, be a father, be a wife, be a mother. Ultimately, we got to put things back in perspective, right? You can win 100 AAU games and not get a basketball scholarship. You can run your kids up and down the road and have the best kid, talented kid out there. That doesn't mean they're gonna get a scholarship. You know, I've coached at Division I, junior college. I've been all around. I coached semi-pro. Your kid at 10 years old or at 15 years old can score 20, 30 points in a game. That does not mean they're gonna get a scholarship. But so if somebody's out here who's trying to sow good seeds into them, you need to let that be a positive voice. Too often we think we know more, we listen to the wrong people, and that causes us to start that negativity. But anybody that's teaching, coaching kids deserve a pat on the back. That don't mean they're great, because there's a lot of us that got something to say but won't take the time to go out there and coach.
True.
Because you ain't getting paid a whole lot to coach. You ain't getting paid a whole lot to teach. Yet we give those people such a hard time, and it's the most ridiculous thing in the world because they're dealing with your kid. So if they're dealing with your kid, don't you want them to have the most positive attitude toward your kid?
Well, on that same note, I need coaches to understand that no matter how much time you have with that player, you are definitely going to make an impact in their life.
Positive and negative.
Exactly. So let's try to make it positive, because if we keep putting down other players, trust me, your players are going to emulate that. They really are.
I tell my players, Range, I've been coaching a lot of years, so you're gonna have a lot of players that play a lot and players that don't play a lot. But I tell every last one of my players, I love them, care about them. If you need anything, let me know. It has nothing to do with your playing time. It has nothing to do with how many shots you get. Somebody loves you and is here for you. You call me in the middle of the night and you got something going on, I'm gonna be there for you. So them being the starter or not a starter or getting a bunch of shots, they should still feel loved. They should still feel appreciated, whether they're playing a whole lot or not. And when they leave your team, they know how that feeling. They know they got somebody in their corner. Whether they just going to the next, age group or whatever it is. We just need to invest more love into people, man. As a society, I'm just saying that, like, every country, like all over the world, we're really struggling with that. And that's why you see some of this stuff. But if we really learn how to love people, because love means if I don't get anything from you, I still want what's best for you. And if I don't get anything from your success, okay, it's okay. I still want to see you succeed. So it's cool.
Yep. Hold on for a second, Coach. We got to take a quick break to recognize some of our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Nice, good, great. In these workouts, I'm not going to teach you anything differently from what I'm teaching a professional basketball player, a college basketball player, or a high major prospect. Everything that I do with you is the same thing that I'll do with them. So the training doesn't differentiate. The only difference is those guys may be able to make it translate to the game much quicker than you guys can. I'm Mike Souza, Dynasty Drills Basketball. I'm a player development coach and a skills consultant. Make it translate.
Welcome back, guys. I'm here talking with Coach J.R. Gamble, and our topic today is how would I put it? Our topic today is basically coaches and parents. Like, coaches used to be mentors, and parents used to strive to be role models for their kids. And what happened to that?
Yeah.
So basically, that's our topic. I mean, if you're a coach, you should be coaching to help get the kids to the next level, not to, hit on another kid, obviously, because that's the whole goal. And like today, I'm at a game, right? And the coach tried to get into a physical altercation with the referee, the head coach, right? And I'm like, there is nothing short of someone putting their hands on me, in sports,
sure,
that would cause me to want to get in a physical altercation with somebody else,
Yeah.
It's just, I don't get it. Especially in a game where it's not, no one was hurt, it's just, you lost the game. If a ref call a bad game, they call a bad game. There's no reason for us to get into a fight.
But again, that display, right? And I'm guilty of it sometimes, but never to the point where I want to fight an official. But that display of a lack of self-control is what we see displayed in the children. You know, that's why I put in my book, Prayers for Athletes. There's a whole section on officials, on how to treat officials, reminding people that they are human. There's somebody's husband, father, somebody's wife, somebody's girlfriend, somebody's auntie, somebody's uncle that you're screaming at and treating them like they're not a human. Coaches, we put kids in the game at the wrong time. We call the wrong defense at the wrong time. Players miss shots, and so we got to remember that they're going to struggle. You know, I can be hard on refs sometimes. Everybody who knows me know that, but I don't get very many texts because I'm talking sense, like I'm talking basketball rules. Like I'll say he's gaining an advantage by carrying that ball, not just hollering at him. So I don't get very many texts. People think I get a lot of texts. I haven't got a text in 2 years. And I got one, you know, 3 years ago now. And that's just because I'm not just hollering for the sake of hollering. But at the end of the day, we can't ask the kids to have self-control when we don't have it.
Oh, just real quick. Parents, coaches, you should really look into coaches' books, Prayers for Athletes and 10 Commandments
for Success.
And 10 Commandments for Success. The link will be down below in the description, so you guys click on that and go get those books. I personally own those books. I was fortunate enough when the books came out that, you know, he told me about it, and I got them for my son. And I think 1 year we actually got it for our whole, you know, for a whole group of young men and women in our program, just so that they have something to read and help them mature, help them get through this wild roller coaster we call life.
Seriously. And a final thought, man, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for having me and thinking that I am somebody worthy of this conversation. Certainly there's a lot of people that could be here doing this with you. But I just want to say, I get it now. You know, I've been coaching for over 20 years. When I first started, there was a lot of things I didn't get. But I get it now that I see players. When I first started coaching, I've married them. I've christened their babies. I've buried their loved ones. And sometimes we forget to see them as a human, you know, as a person with a future outside of the sport. So my final thought to everybody would be, hey, let's love these kids to life, and let's pull them up and push them forward. Let's remember that they have to be great people, even if they don't become great players, that they are kind to people, that they know how to give a compliment. I mean, you see young people nowadays won't even open a door for you, or won't say thank you if you do hold the door for them, because that mannerism is not something that's modeled on a continual basis in front of them. We have a chance to do that. You have a platform, I have a platform. You have kids that you send out in the world. If you teach those kids to do that, they will do that in front of other kids. They will sow those seeds. And so if you do that at a game and you clap for somebody, you know, when they got hurt, you know what I mean? Or you cheer for somebody when they were playing against you, you know, and they had a good game, and you tell them they had a good game. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to say, let's just be better people and better examples to them. And I think we can start changing this world around and won't see some of the violence we see.
Not everyone have your best interest, okay? If you have 100 people that you know, maybe 10 of them genuinely want you to do well in life, okay? But for those 90% who do not want you to do well, who secretly throwing shade at you, one thing you have to remember, okay? It's easy for your haters, the people who don't like you, to talk about you when you engage in them. As long as you're talking back, arguing back, it's easy for them to do it. Smile. That's all you have to do. You don't have to say not one word. Just smile. It's very hard for someone to argue with you, say anything bad about you when you're always smiling. It really is. It really is. All right, because if you're always smiling and I try to say something bad about you, guess who looks like the bad guy?
Kind of look like a clown.
Exactly. So just remember, guys, no matter what happened, smile. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to episode 3 of The Cage with my guest, Coach J.R. Gamble.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it. Good night.
Thank you for tuning into The Cage. Have a good night.
Hey! Shout out Rangemanfilms, man. Shout out to Rangemanfilms.
Shout out to Rangemanfilms. You know the vibes.